All right, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justin, and I got a few special guests here, and we're going to be talking about MLB and the extended netting that's being put up right across the league. So I'm just going to go around to the people, or to my special guests, and have them introduce themselves. So I'm going to start. Bill, do you want to start with you and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Bill, a ballhawker from Toronto.
All right, next. Joey?
Oh, thanks for throwing me out there. I'm Joey. I'm from Baltimore.
Rob?
I'm Rob, aka Yos Malone from Kansas City, ball hawk extraordinaire, new TikTok star.
And the last one?
And I'm TK Kruger out of Madison, Wisconsin, but my home ballpark is Milwaukee.
All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is just our general thoughts on what we think, just our general thoughts about the extended netting. So, Bill, do you want to start off about what you feel about just your general thoughts about the extended netting?
A great discussion with Ken Rosenthal. Actually, we tweeted back and forth. I think it's actually, I understand the safety aspects being what I do, but to me, it separates the players and from the fans, and limits the opportunities for really to interact. Things like catching foul balls, autographs. And I've always taught my son as we've gone through this process of baseball, you keep your eye on the game, not on the phone, focus on the game, and it's hard to get hit, especially when you got great hands like this guy. But I just think it's going to take away a lot from the game, and especially the interactions and the things that I know we like to do every time we're at the ballpark.
And before I continue, I know if I get any comments, there will probably be some people who disagree with us. I'm pretty sure all of us are going to have the same opinion, being that we all do the same, and there's probably going to be a lot of bias here. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Joey, your general thoughts on the extended netting?
Oh, I'll go last so I can say the opposite so we can get rid of those comments.
All right, Robbie, do you want to go?
Extended netting's weak. I hate it. We should not have it. It takes away from the game. I don't care what anybody says. Keep your head on the ball. Keep your eye on the game. It's not my fault people are getting hit. I get the netting. I understand it, but it just takes away from it. It takes away from the interaction and the special, times when, you can get autographs in right field. Now it's going to be only in designated spots. So I'm personally not a fan of it, but I get the safety aspect of it.
Thomas, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm definitely against the extended netting. I know that over time it seems like we're just going to put it above half the dugout, then it goes to the dugout, now it goes to first base, and now it's going 3/4. And, if you look at guaranteed rate, it's all the way down the entire line to the foul pole. So, I think at some point at Minnesota particularly, at Target Field, it was about a 10 foot rather, net above the dugout. It wasn't as intrusive. Players could still throw balls above the net. If you're looking at Kansas City, it's 80 feet in the air. So it just really takes away from that aspect of the game, as well as as was mentioned, the fan interaction. I know that at guaranteed rate above the dugouts, they can kind of hook it and release it, so it raises about 2-3 feet during the warm-ups, but it's above the dugout, so you're still not having that interaction with the players and things, which you can toss down a ball or something, but it really doesn't give you that ability to have that picture with the player. If I look back to 1982 when the Metrodome was built, Billy Martin came over and was on a newscast in 1982 about the dugout. He had mentioned about the Metrodome, how it wasn't built for baseball because the fans are 15-20 feet in the air above the playing surface, and that really you miss that interaction that you get. So back in 1982, Billy Martin from the New York Yankees was complaining about that system would take away from the interaction. So I think the netting is definitely to do the same.
All right, Joey, you want to go?
Yeah, I know I said I was going to try and have a different opinion to get rid of those comments, but I just can't get along with that. I mean, going to mainly minor league games, I've seen reduced netting, and I've seen some of the impacts that it has as far as people getting hit. Even those that are paying attention, like Bill was talking about, just the ball comes off so fast now. So, yeah, I mean, the extended netting is good in certain spots, maybe up to the end of the dugout, maybe a little bit past it, but going all the way down the foul line that's just going a little overboard. I mean, at that point, you're really missing out on, like everyone else was saying, the fan interactions, just the random moments. Ball boys and ball girls don't get to interact with the fans as much now and can't pump them up, which is part of their job. You can't get the random toss-ups from the players. You can't get the random pictures, random autographs. The players diving into the stands or making those great catches that you see on ESPN all the time. So it does seem like they went a little overboard, and it is pretty detrimental towards everything.
So you're in favor of the netting, but you think it's overboard?
I'm in favor of it to a certain point. Like, once you get past the dugout, maybe another 10 feet, because I've, again, going to the minor league games, I've just seen it where there's no netting there, and the ball comes off the bat at such a high speed that no matter how good your hands are, you literally have less than 1/100th of a second to react at it. So I think it's more of a safety issue there. But once you get past maybe the camera well, that's why I don't think you really need the extended netting down there.
So more of the modified, like so basically you think that there's too much, they've gone too much, but they need it.
Yeah. It's good to a certain point, and they just went overboard.
But I kind of think.
Go ahead, whoever.
No, I was gonna say, but you know what? You get to choose where you are. So in my thought is that, you know, if you want that fan experience and you don't want the balls hit at you, there's places you can go, and that's where I think the frustration is. Right? There's leaving no availability for those people that want to be right in the game. Because you know what? And I've sat like right there in the Toronto, right behind the dugout, snuck there most of the times. But you're sitting there, like I always made sure I was between myself and my son from the get-go. And I taught him when that ball's in play, that's all you watch about, right? And I agree it comes off the bat fast. But the number of people in games that are on their phone, they're not watching the game, that's a big problem too. I think that, to me, is the frustrating part, because now you're going to get to the point where the people in those seats are going to be your people that aren't really the baseball fans. They really don't care. And it takes a huge impact away from the game. Like, we were at a game not last year, the year before, and literally a foul ball was hit so foul, like it never had a chance to go fair. And the crowd went as if a guy hit one 450. Like, there's people that just are reactive and don't understand the game. And I think it's because we're just pulling ourselves farther and farther apart. And it's basically, there's a lot of people there not to watch the game anymore. And
Absolutely.
That's the saddest part to me.
Yeah, I mean, they go for the beer nights and student nights and all the promos. You know, one time I sat lower, snuck down there, of course, like always, or step up tickets. And Witt hit a foul ball. It bounced. I mean, he had time to react. It bounced and hit a lady. I mean, the ball may have gone 10 miles an hour. Like, and then she like, when she went and they like, Rose pharmacist came down and helped her. I was like, you had time to react to the ball. It didn't go
not when you're taking advantage of dollar beer night.
Exactly. I was like, it didn't go that fast. So, you know, it's just, you know, the game by itself, like what, you know, Trevor Bauer's doing. I say that this room probably knows the inside joke on it, but, you know, kind of what Bauer's doing and some other players are trying to get the game closer with fans. It kind of defeats the purpose when you have netting pretty much going to the foul pole. I'm saying now they're going to probably have it from foul pole and outfield too as well. You can't get by home runs. It's going to be like cage ball pretty much.
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know if I posted on Twitter or anything, but there's actually in Japan where you can pay some extra money to sit pretty much on the field. You're inside of the netting, closer to the field, but you're given a glove, you're given a helmet, you have to sign a waiver, but you keep whatever foul ball comes your way. Now, granted, you're pretty much right there. So
I would pay for that instantly.
Yeah.
And, you just said you snuck down.
Toronto has that in the TD comfort zone. I don't know if you've seen that little green box that's like kind of in front of the first row. I know Bill has, but I don't know if any of you've seen that little.
Where was it?
Jets
In
out
Toronto.
comfort zone.
I don't pay attention to anything in Toronto.
I just know they got the mesh foul poles. That's it.
But
right,
again,
so
like,
anyone
I'm
else have
thinking
any
back.
comments? Or-
Yeah, sorry, Justin. I was gonna say, and I look back, like I love like social media and like Facebook because all these things are all popping up over the last little while, right? And memories. And I think of the number of times my son, as a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, right up until 11 years old, was playing catch with players at games. He'd ask him, "Hey, you want to do a toss?" Right? All of a sudden, actually, Trevor Bauer and somebody else, I forget who the
Can we
pitcher.
not speak of Trevor Bauer?
They
No, we're going to.
they were throwing the football around before the game, and Colin's like, "Hey, you want to throw?" And all of a sudden, he's playing catch with football with these guys, right? And making interactions. Or asking Chris Young, as an 8-year-old, how do you throw a curveball, right? Chris Young says he usually doesn't, but he tried to show him how, and then gave him a ball. Like, that is the game, and that's how you get those true fans to the game. And those are the memories that last a lifetime. Those are going to disappear. I
What?
feel so sorry for the young generation.
Going
You
off
know how you
that,
get fans to the game and create a new generation of people that like baseball? Get rid of Manfred.
going off that.
Hey, fire Manfred. I sold those shirts back in the day.
So
Fire
going off
Manfred.
that, ideas to fix it was going to actually be the last topic, but I basically wrote for any ideas to fix this whole issue, raise up the net. So I know in Seattle, you can raise up the nets during batting practice, but then during the game it's going down. So people would argue that that could help fix it. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if it's just batting practice, right? I think it's got to be like parts of the game. Like, I agree, those ESPN calls or catches and things like that, those are the things that are part of the game. You're taking away opportunities for outs within games. It could change the game. And right, all of a sudden a foul ball that you could have caught, right, gets you out of an inning. And that's changing.
Yeah, you no longer have Derek Jeter taking 27 steps and then diving into the crowd for a reaction.
Any other thoughts on like how it can be fixed other than the raising of the net?
I mean, it should just be a standard. I don't know how they can measure it, but I mean, like where Kaufman had it, it was after the dugout and I was fine with it. And if you just didn't want to be over there, you didn't have to be over there.
Anyone else? All right, so
I would just like to say that there should be some sort of like you're saying, standard as far as is when you get further down the line, if it's still 40, 60 feet in the air, that is just way beyond any anticipation, where it would be, you'd have the lady that Robbie's speaking of that would have missed a 10-mile-an-hour ball by the time it reached her. If these 70-foot nets weren't down the line where it might, by the time you have plenty of time to react, I just think back, what would happen to the 2002 Cubs game with the
Bartman?
With the Bartman situation, what would that a situation have looked like if it wasn't that? The ball would have probably.
Tom, you're still on mute.
all right, so now we're going to be talking about and getting your opinions on how the extended netting is going to affect ball hawking. Rob, do you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, to me, depending on, how early you can get into the stadium, I mean, those foul balls, those kind of little squibbers won't be able to bounce over the walls depending on what stadium you're in. You really got to get players' attention to be able to throw a ball up. So, I mean, it's going to probably make it a little bit harder. It's already hard enough getting a baseball, but, you're just going to have to change up your game on where you're going to have to be at. So, it's just.
So you think it's going to affect more the in-game rather than the pre-game?
Yes. I mean, because, somebody may pop it up and, depending on where it's at, I mean, that's the difference between the ball going onto the field and the ball coming in. So, it can make a little bit of a difference. It's probably not going to be very much, but, I mean, I think the players are still going to toss them over.
Anyone want to go next on
Sure.
how you think it will affect ball hawking?
Sure, since I kind of derailed the last one. It'll affect it a bit. I mean, you're not going to get the ground ball fouls like you usually would beforehand, but you can still get players to toss up. You just got to be a little creative. Baltimore had the extended netting all the way down to the foul poles in 2019 when I went. So I just got creative. I was in the outfield or I was over in the foul area, and I had different signs for different players. and was able to yell and get their attention. Some of them saw it, were able to toss the balls up and over the netting to me. So it's still possible, but it's not going to be a whole lot more difficult than usual. You're just going to have less chances on random stuff. You just have to build your own luck.
What are random stuff?
The foul balls that go, they're hit up along the lines that you reach over, scoop up. Maybe the outfielders aren't going to be the ones tossing the balls into the stands as much anymore, so you got to play more towards the dugouts. Just a few things like that. You'll have a few less foul balls going into the crowd, but if you can build up something to get a player's attention a little bit more than everyone else that keeps yelling out ball, you have a much better chance. It's much more targeted.
So do you think it could be easier? Because a lot of ballhawks that do it on a regular basis know how to can get creative a lot easier than somebody who's not?
If you're creative, yes. But again, there's going to be less chances overall.
Thomas, Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say, with the creativity factor, there's also, there are going to be 5 or 6 locations where you can isolate to find that, but that's when you're going to be consolidated with a bunch of kids trying to get baseballs and things like that, where they know that, after the dugout or after the third out, you got 20 kids going to that one spot that you can have a player potentially toss the ball. So it's about being, higher up in the stands, trying to draw attention to the players, being a bigger person. It's tough for me to play both sides of the game because they'll recognize me as that fat guy from the third base side when the home team comes in and stuff. So like, I just saw you doing jumpy jacks over on the third base side. I'm not going to toss you a ball or anything like that. So, you have to get creative. At the same time, you try not to be as obvious about it, but at the same time, drawing attention so that players can see you as well. You'll have the players that will recognize that, we have an interest in baseballs and, having that memorable experience, taking a ball away from the game where they'll not isolate it or somebody's a designated third out ball person. So just trying to work that angle and things. And I always find it, more helpful on the road is to kind of get to know one or two of the players beforehand. Like I'll tweet at them and things. So just trying to do some sort of social interaction to with them before a series or something like that.
Bill?
Yeah, I think that for me, a little bit of the struggle will be the ticketing part, because I think now first row in the outfield is going to start to become a little more prime. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to really miss that aspect of when you get those seats sometimes on the foul line, and now to have this net right in front of you. Like I wouldn't go in those seats, buy those seats now. I'd probably be 10, 12 rows up, right? I'm going to start doing my math on trajectories and throw spots, right? Like because that's going to be the new kind of edge in ball hawking. But me and bullpens, like those kind of things are going to be my seat selection now. To really try to interact with the game and hope the outfielder turns and throws one around and stuff like that.
So leading off that, because typically you go as close as you could and stuff, do you think that playing farther back is going to be the key to it? Because I know in Detroit, I was about 4 rows back, and we all know the netting there, and Justin Smoke flipped it up pretty close. In Baltimore, same thing. I was right by the Jays dugout, and the netting there is the same thing. And I was about 2 rows back, and I got a ball from Smoke and Gritchick coming off third out ball. So they are. I've seen them throw it close, but I know a lot of comments have said you're going to want to play further back. What are your thoughts on?
Here's something to think about now with this pandemic. Are we going to be able to get that close? Are they going to section off those front couple of seats?
Well, eventually, it's going to, like in the next 2-3 years, when this is probably going to be under control, you should be able to.
But are they still going to throw the balls?
Next season, what?
Are they still going to throw the balls up?
Yeah, like I didn't even think about. I was like, maybe they might not even throw them up anymore.
They were in the World Series.
Yeah, and they also let Justin Turner play. So
true though, right? It
True,
depends. But and that would be the ultimate piece, right? Like, oh, that would be the ultimate. It finally gets you inside and not a single ball leaves. It'd be just like gutter.
At this point, I'll take it just to go to a game. I mean, if I don't get a ball, fine. Maybe if they hit a home run and I'm just in a lucky spot, but at this point, I'll take anything.
Yeah, because last year it was pretty much every ball that was used was up for sale on the team's auction sites. You know, granted, being
The
the
only way they can make money.
for like $20, but that's
It's the only way they can make money. They lost money elsewhere, or else they have to make up somewhere.
Yeah. And that's the problem, right? Because, again, I think as, you know, as a collector and someone who loves that interaction, again, to go to the game would be just dynamite right now, but not to have access to a ball. Like, I was tweeting all last summer to, like, grounds crew and stuff like that, right? And we got about 11 or 12 balls last year. But, you know, just the missing, like, the smell of this thing, like that's just the thing that will be just a missing piece. And I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I'm worried. I'm scared almost. Like, what's the game going to be if we lose these interactions? Because it's like watching it on TV, except I got to pay a heck of a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And tickets are a lot more expensive now because it's the reduced capacity. I'm like, good gosh.
yeah, making you buy like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, make them buy pods of seats now.
And that's interesting.
I think so. Hello?
A season ticket will be worth now, knowing in the last 5 years it's gone up like 400%.
Baltimore stayed about the same for their season ticket packages, but again, they're also playing it day by day.
Now,
They also only have 600 season ticket holders.
I mean, this is true, but so you figure they charge more.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, with me, I buy upper deck seats, but I always sneak down to the outfield. Do you think they're going to be more, you know?
Yeah, you're going to stand out a bit more this year.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you're not supposed to be down here. You know, I get friends with the ushers and everything. Like, oh, you're not supposed to be down here. Like, wait a minute. I never paid for these seats.
Yeah.
So, Justin, don't tag Milwaukee or Kansas City on this video.
Yeah. Or you bring your own cutout and put it in front of you as you walk by.
Exactly. I'll have everything changed. Trust me.
But that's a really good point too. Like, what is the cost really going to be? Right. And as some of these stadiums start to realize what their capacity is going to be, we see them.
Miami's opened up 17% at capacity, I think it was.
They haven't had a crowd like that forever.
Yeah, that's more than they usually have.
Season.
Same thing with Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Tampa's
could
already
just put-
social distance. They closed the top. They closed the upper deck, so it didn't even matter for Tampa.
They could close the lower deck and still won't be a sellout.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so will they make it like Chicago or some of those places where you have to have a ticket in that section to be there? Because then the question is going to be, now you were buying upper deck. That's where our season tickets are. But am I going to be trading them to the 1 or 2 games I go to? Maybe if I'm lucky up here in Canada.
Well,
I might be first or second row in a different section.
Well, look at spring training, what they're doing right now. In Florida, at least, you can buy tickets, but you're put in a little pod area. You can roam around a bit, but you have to eat and do whatever you want in your little designated section. And they still have the first couple rows blocked off, so you're not right up on the dugout or interact with the players. But each city has a final say on whether fans can or cannot go to the games.
I think here in Missouri, we had the Chiefs, and, you know, they did pretty well with how, you know, fans went in. We were one of the people that actually have fans, and people didn't catch, you know, the virus with going to the game. So I'm pretty sure, and the Royals have talked about bringing fans back in. Now, I do want to go to opening day in Milwaukee. That's kind of the next goal, or even, you know, if I can't go, I'll go in Kansas City. But I know at least Kansas City is going to have fans, which is, you know, kind of a redeeming thing with spring training and everything starting.
Anything else? All right, so the next topic, it was actually brought up briefly, and it's about player and fan interaction. What are your thoughts on it? How do you think it's going to affect it? I know there's been some comments about it's going to decrease it, and from Bill, and I know he gave examples of how. Typically, autographs is huge for player fan interactions. What are your thoughts on how it's going to affect that? And also add on the overall experience of going to a game, how it will affect that. So anyone want to?
Yeah, I guess I'll start off. So I think it's going to reduce the fan interactions, but I think they've already been going downhill in the past few years before COVID anyway. If you notice, a lot of the teams are canceling their fan fests, which eliminates a whole nother fan interaction moment there. Baltimore did it.
Their fan fest, but it was brutal. So I'm just going to leave it at that and not continue on.
Yeah, I saw your tweets about that, but
Bill,
I mean,
there,
one. But even when people could go there, they were reducing it. You couldn't get autographs. You could be limited on autographs. It cut a whole huge chunk out. So I think this is going to give them an excuse to try and reduce fan and player interactions even more. Maybe charge more for autographed baseballs or equipment in their team stores. Encourage players not to mainly go interact with the fans as much. I know.
And that's more than netting rather than the virus, you're saying?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think this is also going to play a part into it, where it now gives the players that may have been on the border before more of an excuse of, oh, sorry, I can't come sign an autograph. There's a net in the way.
And I can agree. I last year sent about 10 or 15 TTMs to players, and a lot of them I didn't get back. From Detroit especially, they're like, well, you have to buy this charity to even get this autograph. So I mean, it's like they don't. I sent it directly to the players, handwritten letters, just to sign a photo and just send it back, self-addressed, and they didn't even want to do it. So I'm just like, imagine, going to the game and now it's a net, and we got this virus and you're wearing a mask, and they might block off to where you can't even get up that close to them. So I think the fan interaction part's going to go down quite a bit. Just, I mean, right now, as of now, hopefully you'll go back to where you can meet a player, talk to him, talk to first base coach, and you guys become friends, and that kind of thing. But I think it's probably going to go down.
I just want to chime in one other thing. I was actually at spring training last year when everything shut down. So I got there the Sunday before everything closed off, and they were discouraging players from signing. Some players still wanted to sign, but you knew who those players were. It was the typical group that would always be signing for everyone. And then you have the players that may have been on the fence before, just completely walked past and was like, oh, can't do it, pandemic. So it was already starting before there was lockdowns, quarantines, all this stuff started to really come out.
Anything else? I know I missed a little bit, but anything else anyone wants to?
I was just going to say, I think the players, especially on visiting teams, they'll start to know where there's those knot holes in the fence where you can stick up, or not a fence, but under the netting where you can slide something underneath to get signed and things. So some of the players will still that really like to enjoy those things, but certainly I've haven't seen yet, but I know that some of at least the Minnesota Twins players, they'll only go up to the fans once a series on the road and things like that, where you might see them on a Tuesday, but the Wednesday and Thursday game, they're nowhere to be seen. So you just have to be more mindful and kind of get to know what the player's type of schedule is. Some teams are like the Twins, where they'll do one in a series where they'll send a couple players out to try to interact and try to find those areas in the fence, or the keep saying fence, but the netting that you can slide something under.
Well, what about
I also
up the netting during batting practice? That comes down to that idea too. Seattle does it.
I'm down for it for at least BP, but they may not even do it now because of everything that's going on.
Yeah, like for after the COVID and all that, and like the whole raising up the net for BP, put it down for the game. That way you have that player fan.
Actually, last year, or well, it would have been 2 years ago now, there was a player that was having their first game that they are on the field behind this netting. They're probably their daughter, their son, and the mom is just, they're taking a picture before the game, and the dad is behind this net, the player dad of the family that's there, and just that's going to be their family photo. I always enjoyed a lot of the Royals players when they were in Minnesota would always come up to you, take pictures. A lot of the bullpen guys would spend some extra time out there interacting with fans too. So that's definitely something that's going to be missed, is those photo opportunities too.
Yeah, and I think, again, the struggle is that in a lot of areas that the perks they used to give to season ticket holders and people that are really fans of the game keep going down and down and down, right? And I'm hoping they're going to start realizing that, and opening more DP time for us to watch and interact with players, or have some neat promotions. Like, it was actually neat 2 years ago when we went to Washington opening weekend. They have every Sunday, if you go in through the outfield gates, the first 500 people get an autograph session. And what they do is they set up 2 lines behind the dugout. You get in one line with something, you're allowed one item, or a picture or a card. They sign it, you go, keep going down, you get it, you're done, right? And those types of things, I hope they're innovative to keep those connections to players, because, again, you're trying to create this passion for a game, to love, right? To want to go out there, to spend your time, spend your money, and you want them to love that whole experience. And to me, again, that's another thing that this netting is going to take away, is those interactions. That's that spark, right? Like, this is why you went to a game, and something you'll always remember. And you see those TikToks and you see those clips all the time, right? Pool host after a game gives his jersey and signs an autograph to a young fan. With the netting now, he'd never be able to do that, right? He'd have to run him around, come here. Like, those authentic, real-life situations are going to be missed, and that's kind of sad to me.
I think TK had something.
I was just going to mention, thanks for putting this together, Justin, but I actually have to leave right now. But hope you all have a great night and a good rest of your discussion.
Have a good one, man.
Have a good one.
Take care. Good to
Take
see
care.
you.
Yeah, it's good to see you all.
All right, so continuing on, does anyone else have anything to add? Okay, so just gonna move on then. Someone sent, I'm gonna mention their Twitter on it, but before I mention their Twitter, I'm just gonna show, basically this is what the envision of baseball is gonna become, and it's kind of funny because wouldn't be surprised if it happened. It's almost like they're playing in a dome or a bubble where you're watching from like a glass outside. So I know it's not. I don't know if you can. You all
can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like somebody tweeted that to me saying the future of baseball with the way the netting is. So that's kind of what. Yeah. So that's kind of what it was. I'm just going to go to their Twitter, and basically their comment was designed for a new MLB ballpark where fans are going to be watching through a glass dome and they're going to be playing in a glass dome. So just a quick shout out to Cooks and Bots sons for that tweet. Any of your comments on that?
Well,
Better
thank
not
you.
be.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, Yo.
I said better not be like that. Like, what's the point? Like, you can just watch from TV. Like, that would be the dumbest thing Manfred or any owners could do for the game, because nobody's going to come. I wouldn't go. And I doubt other people would want to go. It would be like you're watching a hockey game, but, I mean, hockey is that for that reason, is for safety. It doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be glass around the,
What
the
about
stadium
thoughts of a
area.
net of a home run, not being able to catch a home run and having the netting instead of it going into the seats, a home run's going to the netting? Because is it really safe to sit in the outfield? Because we all know how fast balls fly out there, and you can get hit if you're not paying attention.
Oh, yeah, I've seen plenty of people get hit, and I mean,
Why
I
not
haven't caught a
extend it
home
all the
run
way down
yet.
there? If
But
you're that concerned about the foul lines, why aren't you concerned about the outfield? What's the difference with the outfield compared to the foul line? Just throwing
Well,
that.
There's not very many, you know, I would say I can't think of the word now. There's not very many, bullet shots of home runs going out. Usually you have time to react with the home run. Now, sometimes some players can, you can see one barely hit the, kind of a line drive and barely get over the fence, but 98% of the time, the balls are in the air, they're flying. Statcast may show it 100 miles an hour, but you have time to react to it.
Now, it's funny that you said that because all I can visualize now is the dude that got knocked out by Joey Gallo's home run 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is crazy.
So with that concept that you showed, it just reminds me of arena football, where it's.
But arena football is not enclosed like that, is it? Like, it's not.
I mean, it can be. I know there's some Japanese fields fields over in Japan for their professional baseball leagues where it's almost completely enclosed like that. I'm not sure how the outfield is, but the infield at least seems like it has plexiglass or something on around where it reduces everything. So I don't know if that's what the U.S. was trying to go towards.
Or what about like an extended batting cage where like behind home plate and like when they're in BP they have like that batting cage right over them and like just extend.
Look, what has baseball ever done to you to make you hate it this much that you're trying to?
I know.
I'm just trying to create.
We're giving them ideas.
I'm just giving ideas on like comments on like that.
Look, okay, I want you to do a DNA test and let us know that you're not Manfred's son, okay? Also, by the way, I'd like to shout out to Cooks & Sons Bats. Never heard of you guys before. I'm sure you're a great little small company, first time ever dealing with us, so we appreciate it.
I'm just going to say they're ballhawks out in Seattle. It's a father and two son family that are season ticket holders out in Seattle. But yeah.
And also traveled.
We need shout out to the Blue Crabs. Shout them out. They are our independent league sponsors over here. They haven't sponsored this video yet. They'll sponsor us one day.
Also, we need a shout out to any MLB team that gives Alex Katz a chance. That's
Yes, Alex Katz. Yes.
Left-handed pitcher.
Alex Katz a chance.
If you want butts in your seats, you will sign him, okay? You already have 4 people here that are going to buy tickets just to go to those games. I don't care if I'm seeing up in the top turn on the lights. I will be there.
Yes, we will be there for Alex Katz.
And we buy lots of food, okay?
Yes, we'll buy lots of food. We'll buy his jerseys. Alex Katz will be the next guy, whoever signs him.
Also, house.
And then I'm sure Breaking Tea will also make some T-shirts for him, right?
Yes.
Tea, send us some free gear.
And baseballism.
All right, so back to the enough advertising because I'm not going to.
There can never be too much.
But
and then follow me on TikTok at Yes Malone 1.
Back to the topic of the dome. Any other comments about it, or Bill?
No, I just think that, again, the farther you take the game away from the fans, the farther you take the passion away from the fans.
Now, I do have just one request. If anyone does create a dome, they better name it the Thunderdome, okay?
Exactly.
I think Justin's the only one that didn't get the joke on that one. Cool.
I know they didn't. That's okay.
All right, so anyone else have any other comments?
No, I think we're running out of time, though.
No, I got unlimited time, so I just got a notification, which is weird, but okay.
Zoom sponsored us.
Huh? Oh, someone sponsored us?
Yeah, that Bug Will Travel sponsored us.
Yeah.
There's I got 2 more basically topics. So, do you think that the netting is truly going to make it that much safer?
Yes, I mean, if a player and a bat, they let go of the bat, it's probably going to decrease the speed of it. I'm not going to say it's 100% effective. Sometimes those bats can fly, or those balls can take a weird angle off the bat. I don't think it's going to be 100% foolproof. People are still going to probably get hurt somehow, some way. Somebody always is going to get hurt. So I think it's going to definitely reduce it, but you're still going to see some type of injuries.
So
that's the whole dome thing comes into effect.
Stop saying the dome.
So 3 years ago, 2 years ago, well, some years ago, can't remember with the off season. We were in Detroit and we were talking about, because Detroit was one of the first stadiums to go hardcore right to the foul pole, right? and they kind of had the netting really severe, I would say. And they said in Lakeland, I think that's where they do spring training. The usher said that they changed it 1 year as a trial, and they went from on average of 35 to 40 injuries a season to 0. So strategically, if you put them in the right place, it can be safe. But at the same time, I think there's that balance we talked about, that there's some spots where you create some opportunities for those interactions in a way that can be positive, but it's still taking so much away from the game.
What about putting the net in front of like the dugout? So you have the dugout, or like you have the net, you have the dugout here, and then you have the players who can sit here. So that way, it's like they have to go under the net into the dugout. That way, they can still have that player fan interaction.
But it depends on the stadium. Some stadiums won't work. Like, some places it won't work like that.
Well, just another thing. I forgot if it was in Baltimore or one of the minor league parks, but there's the netting behind home plate, and someone was standing up taking a picture while pitch was being thrown, and a foul ball came, still smacked them right in the back or whatever, and they got hurt, even though the netting was right there. So you're still going to have issues where people are just going to be stupid anyway, because that's how people are. But now people are going to feel safer enjoying their 11th beer from the beer guy and thinking they're behind the net, they're safe.
Wait, what a minute. What were you saying? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was on my phone.
So I think I'm getting the consensus that everyone does think it will be safer, even though it's not going to be enjoyable.
It'll be safer. It definitely won't be as enjoyable, but nothing's ever foolproof.
Exactly. Somebody's still going to get hurt.
What about a ball breaking the net?
It can happen.
That is going to be almost as rare as someone hitting the guts out of the baseball. I've seen it opening day a few years ago at Camden Yards. I forgot what player was, lost his bat on back-to-back swings, and the bat's small enough to go through the netting, but it got hung up on the netting twice because it kind of twisted around it. So right there, it kept the bat from going to the stands twice.
2 souvenirs lost.
And 2 lawsuits avoided.
I know exactly. It's we're like 2 souvenirs that we could have got for the collection.
Yeah.
Well, I was nowhere near it, so I'm glad that it stopped it.
But you know what? Those are the things that are the ones, like, I think back, the first bat we ever got, Mitch Garver. Colin loves Mitch Garver because of this, right? He fouled one off, broke his bat, and he was bitter when he came back, but he's kind of like saw Colin and flicked the bat up. Like, that's gone, right? Vasquez flipping some gloves on the top of the dugout, some batting gloves, things like that. Those are the fun little things, right? That you interact, and that's what I'm going to miss.
Well, I don't know how all the other stadiums are, but for Camden Yards, I'm sure you guys have seen on TV how you have the backstop, the curves room, and then you have the dugouts. There's a gap between the edge of the dugouts towards home plate, and I don't know if you were down there and have seen it, where there's the nettings in the front, so players coming through the dugout towards the clubhouse can actually interact with the fans, and they give away bats and gloves and stuff.
I think that's the kind of idea where I was coming from with, like, you have the net, you have their seating, and then you have, like, the dugout over. So it's like they would go under the net into the dugout, and then you have the fans here.
It's like that in Kansas City. There's like if you saw one of my YouTube videos, I was talking to Tyler Glass now. Like, there is.
Was that the wing one?
Yes.
Yeah,
there is space right there. You can talk to him. Yeah, that's my guy, man. He's best guy in the league. Nicest guy in the league, bro. Nicest guy.
Until Alex Katz could sign. Remember,
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex Katz, ALEXKATZ, Kitty El Gato.
12.
Sign him.
He can also hook up those teams with some mean kicks as well.
Oh, yeah.
And if those teams feel like they need a little bit more of a boost, he can also bring Zach Hampel along, small little YouTuber, and maybe give them a little bit of a boost with video.
All right, so moving on, if nobody else has anything else to say, just the final topic is vision, watching the game and it affecting your vision. Do you think that it will have an effect on do you think it will have an effect on your vision when you watch the game? Like, will it? That looks like a yes from Joey.
Well, yeah, it's from both of us. Have Bug will travel. Bug says yes. I say yes. It's if I wanted to stare through small squares to watch a game, then I would just sit at home and put a checkerboard up. It's horrible.
I think the closer you are, the more horrible it is.
No, it's pretty horrible all around.
Yeah, but I think again, I wouldn't want to buy a seat in the first row against the netting anymore. Why would you?
No, I'd sit in the outfield. I mean, if there's no netting out there, I'm sit out there. Obviously, try to catch a home run because it is 0 point and sitting right there by the net because you know you're not going to get a ball or even have a chance to catch one on the fly.
Yeah. Well, outfield bullpens are going to be the key spots now. If you can get in a home run zone right by a bullpen, like I'm thinking, Detroit's going to be a hot spot first row, right by the mound. You get into spots like Washington, Pittsburgh, not so much because they've got it all tracked up in that weird spot.
Camden Yards.
Yeah, Camden, right? But who knows? Maybe they'll put netting around the bullpens pretty soon, right?
Well, this kind of ties into it. I know it's another topic probably for another discussion, but MLB was talking about deadening the baseballs.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
They could reduce the home run. So even sitting in the outfield now, you have less chance.
Yeah, they're not admitting they were juiced, but they're definitely going to deaden the ball. I'm like, come on, give us some excitement. Pitchers are complaining too much.
In 2019, if you take a look at AAA stats, especially in the International League, I went there for a couple of days in Norfolk. Routine fly balls were now carried out 20, 30 feet past the fence. It was ridiculous. It was like a Super Bowl coming off of there. I could have hit a home run if I was standing at second base.
I could
Instead of the warning track.
Yeah, I mean, deadening the ball, I still think those players will hit it out there. Those guys are strong, and they, I think it's more for the pitchers. They've been complaining. Yeah, the ball is probably juiced a little bit, but home runs are fun to watch. Like, who doesn't like watching a home run? Who doesn't like watching,
Trevor Bauer.
I mean, who doesn't like watching, you're like, okay, well, this is this guy's first home run, or, he's going for his 40th, and, it's bottom 7th inning, and the reliever comes out and just gives one up, and you're like, yeah, like that's fun to watch. Or it's a
unless you're the home team that just gave it up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was even saying the last couple of years, the balls, we were talking about this one time, Justin, we thought the seams were actually raised a little bit too on them, and they seem just a tighter a little bit. So actually, I thought that should be more of an advantage when you see like May from the Dodgers throw that screwball that just kind of just goes like a curveball the other way. Like, you think that would be an even upper to some regards, right?
It does. Playing around with both the minor league baseballs and the major league ones, the minor league ones are very inconsistent. You can tell it's a different weather, different seams. Major league one, it'll act more natural, but it just explodes off the bat because it's a higher quality of leather and is wound tighter.
They have an independent league ball in there. It's completely different. I mean, it's amazing. Where they're, it's like, wow.
All right. So is there any other comments or any other things that you wanted to say related to the topic, or
follow Alex Katz, team sign him. Follow the Blue Crabs as well. They are our hometown team. There are
Southern Maryland Blue Crabs.
Southern Maryland Blue Crabs, the Blue Cheeses. Give them a follow. They are worth it. They got made fun of by Wendy's Roast Day.
All right, so I guess we're gonna leave it at that, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification, leave comments on what you have to say about the topics we discussed. If you agree, disagree, your thoughts on it, and subscribe. And thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed it.
Remember, at the Legend of Joey, Have Bug Will Travel. Like, follow, subscribe. We'll put our Cash App down at the bottom, all right?